Good afternoon, morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. I hope that you are having a wonderful day out there as we dive into another full album reaction. Hope you guys are having a lovely February. Hope you guys are having a great Valentine's Day, even though it's past that, but month, you know, like just the general month. I figured I'd stick with the theme this time. Why not? And today, to stick with our theme, we're going to listen to this album, A Kiss in the Dreamhouse, Siouxsie and the Banshees, of course, released in 1982. This is going to be their fifth studio album. We've listened to a couple albums from them, a couple other tracks outside of those albums from them, and now it's time to dive into another full album here. This album had been suggested by just a few of you, at least that I found initially. AK, you said that you prefer this album and Hyena. Which I do have Hyena on my list, but for the theme, I figured I'd go with this one for this particular month. Chinard, you also recommended this one, and Harry Palamaki. So thank you guys for the recommendation, and I'm sure there may have been others, but you guys are the three that I found on a quick search. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into this one. Before we even dive in, can I just say that I love the album cover. It has this really, I hate when it blurs it, but this will work. It just has this really cool, like, not kaleidoscope, but like there's just a lot going on in here. The band members and such kind of, you know, tossed in there like some croutons, and then you got the little accoutrements on the sides. It's just a really cool and kind of satisfying album cover to look at. So I'm excited to dive into this one. Hope that you guys are doing well and excited as well. Before we dive into it, of course, you can sponsor Song Request over on the Buy Me a Coffee. Before we dive into this album reaction, if you just don't mind liking the video, that helps a great deal. And Patreon's over there for exclusive content. That's all I got for you. And let's go ahead and dive on into the music. We'll start off with the first track, Cascade, and this sip of my protein smoothie is to you.
Shining like a wedding ring. Born like sex, I felt 10,000 volts. My chest was full of veils, pushing through my usual skin.
The way the kick just moves into it.
I opened up the wound, oh, pouting, shouting over, like liquid falling in Cascade. Whoa, love victims, laughing in Cascade.
I like how it's sped up so much here already.
The sun was rich with sun of sin. My breath melted my words into strange
Can't waste any time.
alphabets, tormenting my tongue. Oh, pouting, shouting over, like liquid falling in Cascade. Whoa, love victims, laughing in Cascade.
I like that cascade of piano that came down there.
The heartbeats were echoing through revolver, emptying into my mouth. I pulled a face from my pocket
Almost playful, huh?
and smiled. Her leather grin, I felt somebody close. Oh, pouting, shouting over, like liquid falling in Cascade.
love that cascade of piano that comes out there. Double it up there. You gotta admit that it's great to be back. that is such a fine entry and introduction into the album. So immediately, before even like really getting into the meat of the music, is the production on everything. The drums are kind of pushed back into like if it's like the recording is in a hallway and the drums are pushed back just a little bit. The kick of the drum is pushed up, but still has this kind of distance to it. There's a little bit of an echo to it. And I really like that production style, how it kind of gives the recording a little bit more room and it kind of plays in the emptiness of it. And like plays in the spaces that are left in that particular hallway, and not filling in that hallway with more instruments or as such, but just leaving that little bit of echo, that little bit of natural space into the music. And I think that it really adds to a certain atmosphere that the band has here. Now, obviously, like Siouxsie and the Banshees, they play into that, kind of gothic, post-punk kind of sound and such. And the way that the empty spaces and that kind of reverb adds into it is just really nice. It adds this really unique atmosphere into this album I shouldn't say this album, into this song that is definitely found on other tracks from the band, but it just feels a little bit more pronounced so far in here. Siouxsie sounds as gorgeously haunting as she usually does. And I see that on this album, we actually have John McGoach playing, of course, from Magazine, is where I think of him from. And he's playing guitar on this particular track, keyboard as well. And in the keyboards especially, I could definitely hear a little bit of that Magazine touch come through. I love the drums from Budgie here, like I said, with that kick especially. In the beginning, it just kind of comes in like a paused heartbeat, and then like it kind of, trickles in before the song really gets underway and doubles up its tempo and really gets going. But all of the balances between guitars and keyboards that are kind of spookily playing in this particular hallway is just a really, really kind of haunted tapestry that the band weaves really, really nicely. And for as gloomy to an extent this sound is, there's this really nice veneer, I guess you could say, of bright melodies on top of that. So the band just does a really great job of providing a light, a brightness, and contrasting that with the shadows, I guess you could say. And to an extent, I'll be honest, listening to it, it really does look like the album cover. Like if you were to play this and just visualize, right? There's something somewhat romance. I love the bass pops in there. But like there's romance in it at the center of it all. Perhaps if you were to like blur your eyes a little bit, this kind of looks like a heart shape, right? Like a little heart shape right there. And then there's like this mysteriousness. There's something cryptic about it all. I like how in the chorus, as she mentions Cascade, the piano line, of course, comes down cascading. So adding a little bit of literal to the symbolic, but all very, very good. Let's look at these lyrics while we're up here. Oh, the air was shining, shining like a wedding ring. Barbed like sex, I felt 10,000 volts. My chest was full of eels pushing through my usual skin. I opened up new wounds, pouting, shouting. Oh, love like liquid falling, falling in cascades. Oh, lovelorn victims laughing in cascades. So love like liquid falling in cascades. And then she says also laughing Cascades. The sun was rich, rich with a song of sin. My breath melted my words into strange alphabets, which there seems to be some strange symbolism going on there. My tormenting my tongue, pouting, shouting. So there's a pain also happening. You know, my breath melted my words into strange alphabets, like she's losing, in a way, her ability to speak, or maybe not even speak, but to really pronounce, her language. She's losing language, losing a way of communication, and turning into strange alphabets. Then there's the pain here, chest full of eels. Like there's something electrifying, opening up these new wounds. The heartbeats were echoing the revolver, emptying into my mouth. That's one way to make a picture of it. I pulled a face from my pocket, like a pocket watch, face of a watch or a clock, I got you, and smiled a leper's grin. I felt somebody close, pouting, shouting. And then it repeats off of that. So I feel like this is perhaps a cascade of emotions. I feel like this is a deep infatuation and, the butterfly in your stomach feeling, but she's describing it almost in a cascade of pain, even though at the bottom of this cascade of waterfall of feelings, you could say, is a pool of, passion and like I said, of infatuation. I feel like that's, my breath melted my words in a strange alphabet. You get so tongue-tied, perhaps, like in this new feeling. That's how at least I kind of read this. Nothing down here on this one, but that's how I read it. Not sure if that's what it is, but that's how I'm reading it. Let's move on to the next track here, which is Green Fingers. Sometimes some people have a green thumb. Some people have all the fingers green. That sound threw me off. That really threw me off. That bass sound is really nice here. I like that rise here. Is that recorder? I see. I like the resolution of that rise into the sparkles. Rise from Siouxsie. feel like in this track, the band feels very comfortable moving into something let me just say it, a little more wacky. The recorder here, which is also played by John, by the way, he's bringing it in just these couple tracks. It has come to me. It just has this incredibly silly sound that like almost sounds out of place with the way that they're playing here. And speaking of out of place, even the playing between the bass and the guitar at certain moments sounds a little off, like slightly. But all of these elements together, when you bring it down into a blend, somehow they still work in their own way. Somehow put together, they all work very well. And I still think that the recorder is like kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I love it. I don't know if I love it. When it plays in the middle of the track, I like it better. I feel like it fits in a little bit more. But in the beginning, I don't know. I don't know if I love the recorder there. I think it's a choice. Of course, when the rest of the band comes in, like, yeah, that's good. It's there. I don't know if I like it. I like it later on when it comes in, but I don't know if I like it at the very beginning. I really do like Siouxsie singing. She holds that note, of course, about halfway through. That really pulls it up into kind of the stratosphere there. It feels really, really good. I love the bass and guitar sound between John, of course, and Steven Severin here. And like they just work really together in a really cool way. That it's playing in that post-punk kind of sound, that Cure-ish kind of sound and such, but it feels fresh. There's something about it that feels fresh, and it could be the rhythm that Budgie's providing behind them and the drums that he plays, sounding a little bit different than maybe the typical. It could be the notes and the scales that they're playing. It could be the recorder and seemingly other elements like that. But whatever it is, they have a certain magic. They have a certain touch to it. There's also during the chorus of this track that kind of rising note that comes in and lifts everything once again. So there's moments in this track I feel like are very lifted. And I think that this track as a whole is very positive. Actually sunny kind of track from the band. Not really, to me, nothing really dark or shadowy or anything, any gothy here. It's just kind of a nice upbeat track from the band with some recorder on it. Hibiscus head in a flower bed, a finger hewn, planted and sown. Oh, magic in her hand, she could make anything grow. Magic in her hand, she had green fingers. There you go. It's curious where the animals don't go. Mandrake rooted deep in the soil, where the sun don't fall, but it flourishes. See the pretty maids all in a row. Ever since we had the freeze over here in Florida, I need to really go work on the plants a little bit. It's reaching and groping a clammy handshake, clawing the ivy, clawing the tightrope along the lattice work. With his hand ivy wed, with his hand ivy bed. With this hand and I like how she describes, of course, her green fingers, her green thumb, and making plants grow and such, and how the ivy is crawling along the lattice work, vines, holding hands, and of course mating. And so I like the way that she describes the gardening and the plants growing and moving and sprawling around. I think that's a really nice way of describing that. I can't help but see here. Let's see. The inspiration for this song comes from Season 2, Episode 13 of Rod Sterling's Night Gallery. I've never heard of this. In Greenfinger / The Funeral / The Tune and Dance Cafe, a greedy developer attempts to swindle a woman with an uncanny gardening ability out of her land. Interesting. Let's do a little research, shall we? This was aired in 1972. I'm on IMDb right now. I guess I could have you guys right here. Here's some photos from it. You think we could find? Is this like a supernatural thing? Green thumb in her land. Like, is she like a poison ivy and she does something? Green fingers. I gotta look really quick, right? Give me a second. We're going to see if I can find a little footage from this. Night Gallery, green fingers. Let's see if anything pops up. Adapted by... So, on this Night Gallery Spotlight, we're digging into a classic segment. I'm not gonna play just it's copyright.
He's to his Stark. On one side, for a message.
So that's
On
not
this-
footage. That's just like someone describing it. Maybe there isn't any footage that I can just like pop up that quickly. No, nope. It seems that there's a TV spot.
She won't sell. She'll sell.
This is my whole life. Why, I had no intention of selling it to anyone.
Welcome, if you will, guest stars Cameron Mitchell.
Is this horror?
Gloating? That old lady was right. She planted a nice garden.
Oh, that looks horror. Yep.
Hey, come back!
What's with that jukebox?
What about it? The place. But how? I think that can be...
So a night gallery, is this like an anthology, like something horror related? Is this what night gallery is? Oh, it's kind of interesting, kind of like a Twilight Zone kind of show, which I've wanted to watch some Twilight Zone on my Just JP Plus channel, maybe, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I've kind of really dived into Doctor Who. It looks like it is. I'm looking at I guess the little trailer thing they have here. It looks kind of horror-ish. Yeah. Ross Sterling presents tales of horror illustrated in various paintings. That's a cool idea. It's kind of an interesting idea. Okay, let's get back to what we're doing here. Siouxsie and the Banshees, moving on to the next track, which is Obsession. Here. Whoop. Pressing the wrong buttons. Here we go. Couldn't find the right button to play the music. I was off on too many things.
Do you hear this breath? It's an obsessive breath. Can you feel this beat? It's an obsessive heartbeat waiting to be joined with its obsession. I close my eyes, but I can't sleep. The thin membrane conveil the branded picture of you. The signs and signals show, the traffic lights they go. Again you baffle me, pretending not to see all me.
Guitar.
I broke into your room, I broke down in my room, touched your belongings there and left a lock of my hair. Another sign for you. You screamed into my face, get the hell out of my place. Another sign for me. Can you forgive me for not understanding your way?
Strings though? Whose Siouxsie and the Banshee is this?
You know sometimes you take it all too far. Then I remember it's a game between you and me, a divine test for us two. It's all in my imagination. Yes, they even say that our mission is only my obsession. Do you hear this breath? It's an oppressive breath, suffocating in the poison of your obsession. Can you feel this beat? It's a possessive beat. Your pulse stops in the claws of your obsession. The signs and signals show traffic lights they go again. You baffle me, pretending not to see on me.
Okay. I was trying to figure out what was happening there at the end of the track. I was trying to listen because the sound, that was a fantastic track. The sound almost sounded like shoveling into dirt. So I was thinking, okay, maybe someone's being buried. Someone's burying the crime, whatever might be happening. And I couldn't quite make out what was happening at the very end of the track. But this is, I think, one of the most unique tracks I've heard from the band so far. I love this one. Is really stepping into the shadows. This one is gloomy. Siouxsie actually sounds creepy here. And not in a cheesy, overtly theatrical way. She's just creeping. And there's something almost jazzy about the rhythm in which she sings and her delivery there. That's great. The tonal sounds of all the little bells and chimes that are constantly ringing off in the distance, sometimes close, is really an interesting choice for use in the atmosphere as well. That's great. Budgie's kick, once again, the way that comes in at a certain point near the end is really great. And the way that it stops, like a heartbeat that stops, is just harrowing when that does happen. And sometimes when you take away elements like that, it makes it that much more tense, and it almost makes you like hold your breath, like, and you don't even realize that you're holding your breath at the moment. This is a really like cool track in atmosphere, in tone. The strings, I see we have some cello that's brought in. Let's see, 2 cellos, 2 violin on this particular track. And when they come in, to me, it was unexpected, but they just come in with this fog of gloominess over the particular scenery of this track that is absolutely wonderful. And excuse me. The track is called Obsession, and you can definitely feel that this is like a dark tale of obsession. Not just like, okay, it's a song about obsession. No. This is a obsession. And I don't know, there may be some shoveling of some dirt that was happening there at the end. Maybe that's just me, but it sounded to me quite like it. Let's look at these lyrics here, because I feel like we're onto something here. Do you hear his breath? Yeah, she's singing in a very breathy way. It's an obsessive breath. Can you feel this beat? It's an obsessive heartbeat, waiting to be joined with its obsession. I close my eyes, but I can't sleep. The thin membrane can't veil the branded picture of you. The signs and signals show, the traffic lights say go. Again, you baffle me, pretending not to see me. I broke into your room. I broke down in my room. Interesting. That's interesting. I like the use of course, the same sentence, but changing just a couple of words changes the whole meaning. Touched your belongings there and left a lock of my hair. Another sign for you. Yeah, there's an obsession happening. You screamed into my face, get the hell out of my place. Another sign for me. Can you forgive me for not understanding your ways? This is true obsession. This is stalker behavior. Sometimes you take it all too far. Then I remember it's a game between you and me. Is it? She might feel it's a game, but a divine test for us two. It's all in my imagination. Yes, they even say that our mission is my only obsession. Do you hear this breath? It's an oppressive breath, suffocating in the poison. See, there's that dark side slicing in of your poison, or of your obsession. Can you feel the beat, this possessive beat? Your pulse stops in the claws of your obsession. So changing, of course, now from here. First it was, can you feel it? Be joined. But now it's suffocating. It's oppressive. Its pulse stops. The signs and signals show, the traffic lights say go. Again, you baffle me, pretending not to see me. Probably not pretending not to see me. Probably actually not seeing you, but you're obsessed. Ooh, that's deep stalker lore here. That's really good how she's written this. Like, you can imagine someone who's obsessed with someone else, and they're so far gone in their obsession, it's just a game between us, right? Like they don't really feel this way, breaking in and leaving a lock of your hair. Yeah, what a great creepy song. That's really fantastic. Let's move on to the next track. She's a Carnival, which you heard just the beginning of, coming off of the previous one. That's a carnival. Swirl of guitar.
In the heart of the night, she smiles like Mardi Gras, spinning in a dizzy haze.
See, this is that bright pop or post-punk.
Catching colors from the so with your hands upon the hips of the dancing flesh, she's a carnival, and when it's lip to lip in a surprise charm kiss, she's a carnival.
I love the percussion and the drumming happening over there.
She's a carnival. Mosaic eye, gypsy eye, glowing as it dazzles. She's a portrait of a poison for you to quench your thirst. A portrait of a poison. So with your hands upon the hips of the dancing flesh, she's a carnival.
little synth
And when
in
it's
back.
lip to lip in a surprise tongue kiss, she's a carnival. 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 She's a
That's an anthemic chant. Oh, that sounds like a reverse of the organ there. Okay, I feel like from listening to like the ending organ on here with it truly dives into this carnival sound and the recorder and some of the other sounds here. I feel like the band are like to an extent not taking themselves so seriously, but at the same time the music is not like jokey. Like it sounds like they're having a really fun time. You know, at the end, did you get that? Is what it sounds like he said. And then he says, I think he said something like, here's a prize or something, like you're at a carnival. And then he speeds it up. And he just does it again. But then they use that to seemingly transition into the next track, Circle. So it's just like things like that in the recorder. Like it just seems like there's a little bit of a more free-spirited, let's just have some fun on this album. Add some more colors into it. kind of like the album cover, and still put out a great album. But let's just be a little bit more loose with it. And this track is absolutely like that. I do like it a lot when Siouxsie goes into the carnival anthemic delivery there, because I can see during a live show that everyone in the audience is just, she's a carnival, just singing that over and over with it. And there are those carnival-esque sounds that appear here. This one's much more upbeat, jumping off of the, stalker in the shadows kind of behavior of the previous track. And I like how you're getting a lot of different colors and themes and sounds with this album. One moment it could be about a stalker and obsession, and then the next moment it could be having a blast at the carnival and far away from that sound. And this one does sound like you're at a carnival with a lot of bright lights, a lot of bright lights and fun sounds and machines going off and kids cheering and screaming on the rides and stuff. Like, you can feel that kind of energy here in this particular track. I really, really enjoy the bass line from Severin. I think like in tracks like this, it comes through really, really nicely. And you still have those little, like I said, the organ and little bits like that. There's, at one point it sounded like it could have been a synth, but maybe not. I think it probably was just the organ or someone on something like it. That kind of plays in the distance in the track. That just kind of adds to the tone and the nuance of it all. But this one's a fun track on the album. I do like and prefer kind of the atmosphere of like Obsession, but this is a fun turnaround, I'll say. In the heart of the night, she smiles like Mardi Gras. I like that line. Spinning in a dizzy haze, her circus head giggles is a friendly disease, catching colors from the air. With your hands upon your hips, or upon the hips of the dancing flesh, she's a carnival. And when it's lip to lip in a surprise time kiss, she's a carnival. Mosaic eye, gypsy eye, glowing as it dazzles, she's a portrait of a poison for you to quench your thirst. It's a good line right here. A portrait of a poison. A portrait of a poison. So she looks like poison, in a sense. But there's an attraction to it. Right? She's a carnival. Fun and intoxicating. I think that's, I'm supposed to run button, I'm supposed to end record button. That's I think what fun and intoxicating. Alluring, like a moth to a flame. Don't get too close. Let's move on into the next track. It's going to be the final track on this particular side of the album, and that's going to be Circle. Here we go. I'm going to back it up into She's a Carnival, just so we can get that transition again. It seemed like it was kind of cool how it reversed upon itself with the organ.
Pretty girl of 16 has fun and runs crazy. Moon girl of 16, now a mother grows lazy. Next to 16-year-old baby, like mother grows lazy, and her stomach is churning, whilst her eyes keep turning around.
That psychedelic terror
round and around, getting no higher from the ground. Round and around, round and around. This circle has an empty sound.
Dizzy. It's like the tape ran out or something. It's just repeating at the end.
Father inflicts discipline, boy rebels against him. He leaves for the big town for love and adventure, but the words he first heard, unlike his instincts, run deeper. Now boy eats his children if they disobey him, and the cat riddled with worms chases his tail round and around, round and around, getting no higher from the ground. Round and around, round and around. The circle has an empty sound.
Very psychedelic.
Full circle,
happening? Would I be correct in saying that that's the weirdest song that I've heard from the band? But listen. Now I said the band is playing kind of loose in this album so far. I think that this shows, yeah, they're playing loose in many ways, and sometimes those are weird ways. Sometimes those are experimental ways. This is the most experimental and psychedelic in their own way that I've heard the band. I feel like they took like Obsession and just amped it up into something incredibly unique and weird in the best way possible. It's entitled Circle, and there's so many moments in this track. The track is really just repeating motifs, and then something else comes in. It's like a Venn diagram, and I get another wheel. And then there's a third one that comes in. It's just all these rotations, this cyclical nature, starting off from the reverse organ. And it almost sounds like the ending of a tape that's just looping and running out on and repeating upon itself. And then they build the rhythm off of that in this incredibly odd way. I'm just going to say it. Like the way that Budgie comes in drum-wise on that, it sounds so odd. But then eventually, as more layers are added, it begins to add context musically and begins to make sense, in as much sense as this track can make. Can I say something about the way that Siouxsie's singing here? Her voice and some parts, not in totality, don't take what I'm saying and run with it, but there's just some moments in the way that she delivers her singing here that reminds me a little bit of Joni Mitchell, because Joni has this certain way of like running on, you know, taking away punctuation, commas, and periods, and just running on with poetic leeway. And in some moments here, I feel like Siouxsie's doing a similar thing, which works really well for a track like this, which is, it's very, like I said, psychedelic and, you know, playing into that kind of tone and oddity, adding to it. There's this moment where I thought it was a trumpet coming in, but it's going to be John on synth again, adding that trumpet sound. There's the drums, which sound like a ritual happening. And perhaps because of the repetitive and odd nature of it all, it sounds trance-inducing. There's a lot in this track, and it just builds up in its density and density and density. This is just layer cake upon layer cake, and they just keep slapping on layers onto it. And it's a strong taste, this one. But I like that the band takes these risks. I like that the band experiments, you know, in this direction. This is, which album did I say this is in their career? Their 5th studio album. I like that they're trying new things, and it sounds really cool to me, what they're doing. I mean, you know, a minute in sounds completely different than 3, right? but they still build it up in a very similar way. That's kind of interesting. It's kind of like, once again, I'm not comparing the band I'm going to mention necessarily to Siouxsie and the Banshees, but it's kind of like how Talking Heads in Remain in Light build very repetitive rhythms and layer on top of that. I think you get a similar thing here in this particular track. Building a certain rhythm and layering on top of that and adding more and more to it. Really, really interesting, unique. Pretty girl of 16 has fun and runs crazy. Now a ruined girl of 16. Now a mother grows lazy. Next, a 16-year-old baby, like mother, grows lazy. And her stomach is churning whilst her eyes keep on turning. So you get a cycle of life, right? Round and round, around and round, getting no higher from the ground. The circle has an empty sound. There's no fulfillment in this circle, in this particular circle of life. There's no satisfaction. There's no fulfillment. Father inflicts discipline. Boy rebels against him. He leaves for the big town for love and adventure. But the words he first heard, unlike his instincts, run deeper. Now boy beats his children if they disobey him. And the cat riddled with worms chases his tail. I like the way that she's describing these circles. As she says, an endless full circle for the next in line. These are endless cycles and circles of pain, suffering, abuse, so on and so forth. You know, I mean, it's quite the visual, but you know, a cat riddled with worms. Well, those worms can, you know, sometimes focus on the backside, chasing its tail, you know, and so the cycle repeats. Round and round. Are you the next in line? I like how that's inserted into the chorus there. Something personal to think about. Are you repeating, for lack of a better word, the sins of your father, so to speak? And are you going to be part of the cycle? Or are you going to be like Daenerys Targaryen? The wheel goes over and over and over. I don't want to be the next spoke on the top. I want to break the wheel. How'd that go? Let's move on to the second side of the album. Starting off with the track Melt. Here we go. Really like that.
You are the melting man. You are your situation. There is no time to breathe. And yet one single breath leads to an insatiable desire. Of suicide insects. So many blazing
that's
orchids burning in your throat, making you choke, making you sigh tiny deaths. So melt, my love will melt, she said. Melt, my love will melt.
It's wonderfully lush.
You are the melting man, and as you melt, you are beheaded, handcuffed in lace, blood and spell, swimming in poison, gasping in the fragrance. Sweat carves a screenplay of discipline and devotion. So melt,
says that line. This was a gorgeously dreamy, sensual, and intimate track. This is going to be definitely one of my favorites, I think, on the album. It is. I love the dreamy atmosphere that they built in here. I'm going to assume it's probably John playing some sort of keys. It very well could be quick playing of like the guitar or something like that. But the thring, 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 like the melody sounds kind of, to me, to my untrained ears, it sounds a little Parisian to me and like almost stereotypical romantic, those kind of quick fleeting and flitting notes there on what I assume is guitar, but it very well could just be like some sort of keyboard. I don't know. But it sounds like this really wonderful, dreamy sound, of course, backed up by the wonderful bass. I love how the rhythm just gently sways things along, puts things into kind of a waltz-like movement and a swing in here. And Siouxsie just sings and breathes with, like I said, this closeness, this intimacy that, of course, really works along with the lyrics here. And it's just a really romantic and starry night that this one feels like. This is a gorgeous track. I love how at the end her vocals are kind of act like a choir, and just, you know, all of her overdubs just push everything and lifts it really nicely in there. And then there's this section here. Here. I wouldn't say it's a solo, but see that? I think that that's like the, this acts as like the peak of the music. And I think that it's just such a beautiful moment in a way that it kind of tails off into the outro there. I think that this is a really, really awesome track. There was something else I was going to say about it, but I don't remember exactly what it was I was going to say. Oh! I remember what I was going to say. I can't believe I forgot. You know what band would sound great covering this? I think. All right, you guys just heard the song with me. Can you imagine this band covering this? I think that they would sound so good if they were covering this track. Don't you think that Typo Negative and Steel would sound so good covering this particular track, Melt? I don't know why, but as I was listening to Melt, I was like, ooh, I could hear them like covering this track, and it would sound really, really good. I don't know why I thought that. It was just something that came to mind. All right. And also, let's get that out the way as we're discussing this one.
My.
You are the melting men. You are your situation. There is no time to breathe, and yet one single breath leads to an insatiable desire of suicide and sex. So many blazing orchids burning in your throat, making you choke, making you sigh in tiny deaths. Of course, what is it called? Les petits morts, les morts petits, whatever it's called. You know what that means. That's why I pressed the button. I'm not pressing it anymore. So melt, my lover, melt. She said, melt. You are the melting man. As you melt, you are beheaded, handcuffed in lace and blood and sperm. Swimming in poison, gasping in the fragrance, sweat carves a screenplay of discipline and devotion. Can you see? See into the back of a long black car, pulling away from the funeral of flowers, with my hand between your legs, melting. Listen, you don't need any sort of spark notes to know what this song's talking about. Let's see. It's the second and final single from this album. The sensual lyrics of Mel compare, an intense sexual interlude with a lover to dying. Yeah, let Penny Moore. The lyrics can allude to S&M encounter, handcuffed and lace, etc., etc. Dave Morrison. I don't care about Dave Morrison. No offense. Il laisse naître le divin enfant was an adaptation of a traditional French Christmas carol. We didn't listen to that song. That's the B-side, it looks like, to this single. The single peaked at number 49 in the UK singles chart. Let's move on into the next track here, which is going to be Painted Bird. This sounds like a single. I like Budgie's playing on the right there.
The peacock screaming eyes show no mercy, oh, no mercy, oh, painted bird, just a tiny bird, painted bird, just a tiny bird,
Nice rising guitar there.
the flock will make you choke on your sadistic joke, and the whippoorwills they make you dim. In walking the sun, your Hitchcock carrier. In loving innocence, your Hitchcock carrier. Carry on, painted bird.
This is a rock and roll track from the band.
Maybe tomorrow you'll lose your sorrow. When the painted weather will cleanse away that painted feather and all that sorrow, sorrow, sorrow.
Nice little reverse and pull up there.
A cocktail fur for the painted bird. Confound the dowdy flock with a sharper nerve. Because we're painted birds by our own design, by our own design. There's no more sorrow, sorrow, sorrow. Happy words about the painted bird. Just a tiny bird, that's just
I love that note from the guitar.
now it's tomorrow, no need to hide your feather under a painted weather. No more sorrow, sorrow, we've lost our sorrow. Now we're painted, walking that twisted
Where are we going? Is it transitioning? save that jazz for a second. Okay, Painted Bird to me is a nice track. Cool vocals, nice rock and roll style from the band. They're just kind of doing their thing. It jams out. It's a nice song. What was that ending? It just makes me curious. Like, what was the purpose of the ending? Because I was thinking it was going to transition kind of into the next track, Cocoon, but it didn't seem to do so. It seemed like it was just kind of, for lack of a better word, tacked on there at the end. It was interesting. I was hoping to see it like do something with it, but no, it's okay. It's okay. Painted Bird. Can I tell you what Painted Bird reminds me of? It reminds me of Happy House a little bit. It kind of has a similar kind of energy and kind of rhythm from the band and such, but yeah, it kind of reminds me of Happy House. That's all I can say. It's not a bad no. It's not a bad song or anything like that. It just doesn't make an impact on me. It sounded good. I enjoyed listening to it, but it kind of comes and goes. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't know. It's fine. I like Budgie's drumming in here a lot. Great atmosphere as usual. John's guitar sound is really nice, especially in the chorus. That kind of sounds to me like this would be a single on the album. I don't see initially that it is. I'm checking really quick. No, the singles were Slow Dive and Melt. This feels like a single from the band and on this album because it to me has a certain radio accessibility and a catchiness that what I think appeal to a massive audiences. Yeah, I'm not trying to like rush through or anything like that. I just don't have a lot to say on this particular track. I think it's a nice song. That's it. On Lead Poisoned Wings, you try to sing. Freak beak shrieks are thrown at your confusing hue. The peacock screaming eyes show no mercy. Painted bird, it's absurd. Painted bird, it's absurd. Just a tainted bird hurting their twisted nerve. The flock will make you choke on this sadistic joke. And the whippoorwills, they make a din in laughing unison. Your Hitchcock carry-on in laughing unison. We're going to have to read the annotations on this one. I hear your sorrow, maybe tomorrow you'll lose your sorrow when a faded weather will cleanse away that painted feather. A coquette in fur purr for the painted bird. Confound that dowdy flock with a sharp-honed nerve because we're painted birds by our own design. I got to read it, man. A very violent book describes Siouxsie in an enemy interview, referring to Jersey's Kaczynski's controversial painted bird. But there's also like an abstract theme in that this guy used to collect birds, and when he was feeling really aggressive or frustrated, he'd paint this bird with different colors and then throw it to its flock. And it would recognize its flock, but because it was a different color, they would attack it. I've seen this, there's like a modern, popular, either like video or GIF or something like that, where it kind of reiterates this point. It's like, don't quote me, but it puts a bunch of like almost cartoon-esque characters into like this room, and they're all the same color, and then it inserts another character, but it's a different color, and so they kind of all look at him weird. At the end, it all like, you know, it all sorts itself out in a positive way. But I can't remember what that is. I don't know if I could find it because I don't know what to like say. But it kind of I see that idea. Let's look up that book really quick. Painted Bird. The Painted Bird. Here we go. On Wikipedia. Describes World War II as seen by a boy considered a gypsy or Jewish stray wandering around small villages scattered around an unspecified country in Central or Eastern Europe. Let's see. Based on the picture events are widely known to be fictional. The book describes the wandering boy's encounters with peasants engaged in all forms of sexual and social deviance, such as incest, bestiality, and rape, and in other forms of extreme violence and lust. The book's title was drawn from an incident in the story. The boy, while in the company of a professional bird catcher, observes how the man took one of his captured birds and painted several colors. Okay, we read about what happens. And there is a visual of what happened, the painted bird. Kind of interesting. I see a lot of criticism and controversy happening in here as well. Interesting. Let's move on to the next track here. which is going to be Cocoon, which it started off kind of interesting, like almost a little jazzy, a bit of a step there. Gonna get some poetry.
In my car when my car loves me.
Yes, we are.
I'll stay here a while in the cotton walker Cocoon.
It's like the best is yet to come.
Till the chrysalis is right, till the time is right. With this feeling of insecurity, I have to shrink back inside, run and hide. Back in the cocoon, hugging my knees, watching my insides, the skin glow and rise. Lying in blankets, I've been here a while, tapping the rhythms against the mattress.
I like that phaser kind of guitar.
Melts the sheets, another layer is
There's a lot of sounds happening in the back.
just the cards, the wallpaper. I've been here a while, tapping that rhythm, tapping that rhythm.
So many sounds.
Still finding charms in the memory of those constrictor arms, glowing in the dark in my luminous cold-heated blizzard, bathed in a gossamer scent, with my heat detector. Lying in blankets, I've been here a while, tapping that rhythm, tapping that rhythm against the mattress and wall. Waiting to lose the bandages, waiting for new appendages. Lying in blankets, I've been here a while, I've been here too long, banging out rhythms, searching for other times, banging out rhythms, banging out rhythms.
I like how we got some drum fills and stuff in, while she's saying banging out rhythms. She's snapping now. She hit that jazz piece right there. They even hit the jazz ending. You know jazz hands were involved in that ending. Are you kidding me? I like how they stretch out their wings on this one. They stretch out into the genres a little bit and hit that lounge jazz kind of feel from the very beginning. First of all, you get the roominess of the drums and everything. And I like how Budgie plays on here. You know, yes, playing in that specific lane of genre of jazz, but, you know, he does so in his own way. And I especially love how in the lyrics, when she mentions out, like, you know, tapping out the rhythm and banging out the rhythms, rather, how, especially on that later part, Budgie starts to add more kicks, starts to add more fills there on the snare and kind of dances around, skitters around the drum set just a little more. The track is called Cocoon, and it makes me think of an insect, and it makes me think of being in a singular place, and, you know, you can't move, you can't leave, you're just sitting there. And perhaps life and nature and the world is still spinning around you. Time is still moving forward. And in this particular track, there are so many other sounds and minute details that are constantly happening, from the piano that's playing sometimes along with the band and sometimes kind of going off in its own left field and doing its own thing, to a lot of, like, you know, effects on the guitar that plays. And there's just a wide assortment and array of sounds that are constantly moving around. And yet at the focus of the track in the Cocoon is Siouxsie singing, is the bass line, which kind of carries it, you know, along, bum, 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 just kind of pushing things along. And to me, Siouxsie and the bass are really, Severin are really the Cocoon. Everything else, Budgie and John especially, are kind of doing everything else outside of that and carrying life on, I guess you could say, which is a really cool way of, you know, performing this track and the way they do that. The rhythm didn't sound like it, but for a moment, the bass line from Severin here, for a moment, it seemed like it was kind of diving into, like, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. I think that's the name of the song. It, like I said, it didn't ever go fully into that direction, but when it started, I was like, it's kind of playing a little loose and heavy with that, but very cool track. And once again, kind of this album, kind of like the album cover, it's reminding me of like a variety show. You're kind of getting a little bit of everything on this one. Here in my cot, where my cot loves me, I'll stay here a while in the cotton wool cocoon till the chrysalis is ripe, till the time is right. With this feeling of insecurity, I have to shrink back inside, run and hide. Back in the cocoon, hugging my knees, watching my insides, the skinned glowworm writhings, lying in blankets. That reminds me of like James and the Giant Peach. Remember, it's been a long time, but isn't there a scene where there's like these little glowworms that are like in somewhere? Isn't there? Lying in blankets, I've been here a while, tapping out rhythms against the mattress and the wall. So like a cocoon, you can just tap in the sides. The heat melts the sheets, another layer is peeled. Tapping out rhythms, just my cot, the wallpaper, and me. I've been here a while, tapping out rhythms. Still finding charms in the memory of those constrictor arms glowing in the dark of my luminous screen. A pearl-beaded lizard bathed in a gossamer scent. With my heat detector lip pit pulling at the newly formed tissue. Lying in blankets, I've been here a while, tapping out the rhythms, like chewing her way out, like lizards chew their way out of eggs and stuff, break their way out of eggs. They have that. Is it called an egg tooth? If I remember correctly, they're born with a special tooth or a special something. I want to say it's a tooth, but it could be like an egg beak or something to help them break out of the eggs. Of course, this is a cocoon we're talking about. Different animals, different species. Waiting to lose the bandages. Waiting for new appendages. Interesting, a cocoon is supposed to make you grow and change as something. And you can also see them as bandages, right? Helping you to heal. Lying in blankets, I've been here a while. I've been here too long. Back in the cocoon, tapping out rhythms. To this one, here you go. Siouxsie says, Mike Hedges was the one who introduced me to LSD. Okay. One time I decided to have a night in Under the Influence just to see what would happen. And I ended up writing Cocoon. It's all a bit of a blur, but I remember getting this Neapolitan ice cream and thinking I was on the beach. I was actually on the kitchen floor. I have no words. I have no reaction to that. Just, all right, you were tripping. I have no words. Let's move on to the final track of the album, which is going to be Slow Dive. Like a little string sharp and that being like a little jab. to the ground, she's singing. Interesting change in that drum bit. It was in a tunnel. There's something kind of B-52s about this one. I like that little pause. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Siouxsie and the Banshees with A Kiss in the Dreamhouse. So I think that they end the album with another okay song. If I'm being 100% honest, I think that slow dive is fine. It's a slow dive to the ending of the album, and there's something of a B-52's energy in their own way that I feel here. Maybe it's because of the way they're describing the dance and describing a slow dive and you low jive and come alive. And I don't know why, but there's something about those lyrics and the way, in some capacity, that she presents and delivers them, that reminds me of B-52's, just with a little bit less of their specific brand of energy and such. But I like the strings in here. I do like how those make a return here, and they add a kind of creakiness to the atmosphere of it all, where this one is a fun rhythm and a catchy song. But like I said, and of course, according to the name of it, played a little bit slower, a little bit lower. And I like how the strings just add a little bit of these dust in the edges, dust in the corners to this particular track, kind of adding to me that kind of signature Siouxsie and the Banshees sound here. But otherwise, I think that this is a completely fine song. I think it's an okay way to end the album. It doesn't make a huge impact. Definitely not so much of an impact as some of the other tracks on here. But it's an okay way to finish everything out. Get your head down to the ground. Shake it all around, a dirty sound. Put your knees to your face. See if you can race real slow. It's a slow dive when you die slow. It's a slow way down. And it's a low jive. Do the slow dive. Almost like a dance, but she's describing death. Get your head down to the ground. Shake it all around, a dirty sound. Put your knees into your faces. See if you can race real slow. Now you jump back like a hound. Emit a howling sound. dig those limbs into the floor and holler out for more. And you revel in the dips when your backbone slips, taking honeysuckle sips from your rolling hips. It shifts and it shifts. And it goes on from there and repeats the lyrics once again. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Let's look at some of the info for this album. We haven't looked at that quite yet. It says that the record marked a change of musical direction as the group used strings for the first time and experimented in the studio. John McGoat played more instruments, including recorder and piano. Let's see. It peaked at number 11 on the UK singles charts. The UK albums chart. Sorry about that. It says the band held back from writing after the success of Juju. During the spring of '82, they went on tour in Scandinavia with 3 tracks completed. When they returned to the studio in July, they embarked on a week of improvisation sparked off by a tape loop section of the orchestral version of Fireworks, a non-album single they had released in May. Other numbers followed. Sue did not want to use synthesizers for the arrangements. Fireworks indicated the direction we wanted for the album. We wanted strings. John wanted a machine, but Steven and I said it had to be real strings. They give a real earthy, rich sound. I agree with that. You could hear the strings splitting and breathing and wheezing. Me and Steve have always wanted our music to be performed by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. We always thought our songs would suit orchestration. Real strings have a very physical sound. I agree. Says they allowed themselves to be inspired by sounds. Mike Hedges, the engineer who was interested in vocals, put different effects on Siouxsie's voice and multi-layered it. We definitely heard that quite a bit. Hedges also encouraged them to fiddle with the effects and come up with something off the wall. Says, of course, this was their most experimental work, containing recorders, chimes, tubular bells, loops, and many overdubs. Says the personal dynamics associated with this period was recorded were often less than healthy. The band's recently fired manager and Siouxsie's former partner, Neil Stephenson, had become obsessive in response to her developing relationship with Budgie. Could that be what obsession's about? The band spent long hours in the studio, fueled by drink and drugs. Says the stunningly beautiful music was a product of addiction, stress, old sick love, and new dangerous love, money, woes, and darkness that would eventually claim 3 lives. The title of the album came to Severin after watching a program about Hollywood prostitutes in the 40s who had cosmetic surgery to look like stars so they could get more clients. The Dreamhouse was a brothel in LA that actually existed where people could meet perfect replicas of the stars at the time. Women like Mae West. Interesting. The quote on the inner sleeve, Nellie the elephant packed his trunk and said goodbye to the circus, referring to Stephenson, who was fired. The album's artwork is inspired by the paintings of Gustav Klimt. As the Banshees achieved the richness they deserved, they wanted a really colorful sleeve with lots of gold and deep colors because we felt the music was very rich. I would absolutely agree with that. Let me see some of his paintings here. Oh yeah, you can definitely see that style in this. These are really cool. I like this. I don't look at like a lot of art and paintings and such. My favorite painters and things would probably be like, I really like Falero, the Spanish painter, and haven't looked at a ton of his works, but like Hieronymus Bosch and such. Like if I had to choose 2 favorites, those are the ones that immediately come to mind. I like the style though. It's kind of cool. There's a critical reception. Where's our chart information? New Zealand 19, Swedish albums 47, as we mentioned, UK albums number 11. Oh, forgot to mention my favorite songs. Favorite songs? Melt? Definitely. I would say Melt, Obsession, Circle. The Dreamy, and the Weird. Let me know what you guys thought of this album, of the tracks in the album, your favorites, your least favorites, all of that fun stuff in the comments down below. I appreciate you watching as always. I thank you so much for being here. The Buy Me a Coffee's there if you want to sponsor song request or even an album request you got up there. The Patreon is there for exclusive content. And of course, where you're currently watching right here on YouTube, you got everything else available. The share button, the like button, this button, the that button, the you button, the me button, the that button, the that button. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Come on back tomorrow, and I will see you all later. Bye.